And this is my show, and I love hosting this show. I am an intuitive healer, and I have a really excitement tonight for the first time ever. Well, now second time, because I was on someone else's podcast this morning, Elena's podcast this morning. I am a F.I.X code practitioner, and I am going to have today a really special guest. First, I want to tell you I am on the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, the #1 internet talk network out there, and join us for every show because we're phenomenal. I want to introduce to you my really special guest. I have today the Vice President of the F.I.X Code, Stacey Nye. And Stacey has an absolute amazing history. And more personally, she's my friend. She's my healer, my practitioner. She's my mentor, and she is my teacher. She is a very important person to me and in my life. And I want to welcome you to my show. And thank you so much for being here, Miss Stacey.
Oh, this is my pleasure. Thank you so much. And congratulations, as you just became certified as a certified F.I.X code practitioner. That takes a lot of work. And
it does.
Yeah, it's like the CrossFit of emotional healing, I think.
And I absolutely love it. It is my jam. Yeah. I want to say a little bit about Stacey's background, and then I'm going to ask you about your story, Stacey. She has a 22-year career in international sports, 4 Olympics, Pan American Games, and Commonwealth Games. Wow.
I did.
She's like the coolest people. She loves her career, her life, and her guy until that horrible, scary night that she lost everything and was dropped into hell. She had no clue how to get out of. That just gives me chills when I read that. She lived in fear of everything, and yet no one knew. She masked it. I think we can all kind of, not that terrible, scary night, but we can all relate to masking our fear. Yeah. She smiled and faked being okay all the time until she met Daniel, the creator and founder of the F.I.X code technique, in her first. So I'm going to let you do some of this.
Sure.
I'm going to go to, she teaches the practitioners, right? She is the master teacher of the practitioners. She is the trainer, and she introduces the F.I.X code to people, trains them how to do it, and then supports us on our journey. I have never met anyone in a program quite like Stacey.
Thanks.
I've told y'all that I had my meltdown when my daughter was in the hospital. When I say I called my mentor, I mean I called Stacey in Canada. You're what, 3 hours difference from me? Are you Eastern or are you?
Yeah, I'm Eastern. I'm in Toronto.
She's 3 hours difference from me, and it was Sunday night, fairly late. And I called her, and she hopped on and helped me out immediately. And she's just one of the key mentors in my life. Stacey, tell us your story, if you would.
Okay, well, there we go.
Tell us.
Okay, so yeah, I grew up in an amazing, very high vibe home. Definitely, my parents, very 5D, high performance, high intellect, very much in service to the athletes at the Olympic level. And I was born in '69. So on the, oh my gosh, my hair's all backwards.
It looks like it, but it isn't.
I'm all going backwards. So yeah, I was born in '69, and my parents, we lived in Montreal. They were in '67 Expo. They drove right into planning the '76 Olympic Games from the sports perspective. So my imprint years from 0 to 7 were like the '76 Olympic Games. It was planning. I was surrounded by some of the most brilliant minds in the world because it was a global event, people from all over the world, and we had different languages and everything going on, and it was all going down in my living room. So I kind of was the kid hanging on the back of the couch watching everybody at the dining room table just build the 72 Olympic Games from a sports venue perspective. And it was just awing. And those were like the people I hung out with that were in my home. And both my parents had their own individual sports. My mother was in gymnastics. She was the head judge of Canada for gymnastics for 25 years. So if any of you know Nadia Comaneci in the 76 Olympic Games, my mom gave her the first 10 ever on vault. I watched the whole thing. I was in the stands watching all of that history go down. And my father was a referee and became the president of the Canadian Olympic Federation for, I think, about 25 years too. And then moved over to the Commonwealth Games Federation as the president of that. So I really grew up in this incredible home and environment, and both my parents were my mentors. I asked them everything. They were guiding lights, absolutely, with phenomenal insight to global etiquette and all those kinds of things. So they really expected a lot of my sister and I. So I was also an athlete in gymnastics, a high performance athlete. So I come to this modality or in this part of my world with a lot of like the physical stuff too, understanding the physical body and understanding health and nutrition and, healthy mindset and all those things. So I've got, all of that behind me too. And as a teenager, looking for a job, of course, I go to the people I know. So they threw me into the world of international events, which was just such a beautiful environment for a teenager to be growing up in, and then into my 20s and early 30s. In all of that, I also worked in high level political events, not in the political part of it, but again, still that planning and organizing and, moving people and all of that with G7s, GHG, all of that stuff around the world, again, for very high profile political like leaders and heads of state kind of thing. So and I was really like in charge of that, like the bags and stuff. I wasn't in charge of any policy or anything like that. I never had any idea what was actually being talked about. So I was just the stuff girl, but very much that Rubik's Cube mind. And then at around 32, we were actually living in the States. My husband at the time was a pro golfer. Life was good. Never worried about money, like never in my entire life did I ever even think about it. I made it, we had it, you spend it, you make more. Like, it was never a thing. I was never really afraid of anything. I know I'd been hurt and, little bit of betrayed over here or whatever in high school, but never crushed by any means. And again, not understanding what I know now about vibration and these parasitic programs, which were like fears and horrible feelings. They weren't in my world because of the level of vibration I was living at and the people around me and their high vibrational state. Really, the parasitic programs couldn't survive. They don't live there. They live low, okay, in the vibrational field. So when we call this like that night, which trauma just kind of like screamed into my life, it all happened in a very, I want to say like 10 seconds, and my life was completely changed. Everything financial. I went from never worrying about money at all to being completely bankrupt in like 15 seconds with everything that had just happened, what was on its way, what was coming. There were helicopter airlifts out. It was big. And then just the trauma afterwards. And we were not in our country. We were in the States and we were Canadian. So like, wow. It was like all, and then not being.
Stace, nobody knows what happened.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
No, I don't want to put anybody in trauma. I don't want to trigger any of that, but it was like a horrible night. And it was, everybody lived, but it was close. So, but it changed my life that night. It changed the love of my life. It changed our finances. It changed how we moved forward. It changed the next 20 years because what happened in that night, when I look back at it now, I can see it all. And it's taken me almost 20 years to figure it all out. But in the trauma, I dropped. My vibration dropped really low because of how scary everything was happening in the moment. My guard, my unconscious mind, the unconscious mind has a guard, okay? When I believe in shock, when we go into shock or trauma, the guard drops. And that is when parasitic programs can come in, which are like fears. And I called it hell because it was, I fell into hell. that night, because all of these things that were now scaring the crap out of me, I didn't even know existed 24 hours before. And they just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I became more and more of a shut-in, and more, even though I didn't shut in, I wanted to. And the fears of like just going outside, the fears of going to the grocery store, you know, over the years. I also I found out I was pregnant about 10 seconds before the trauma. So it all happened all at the exact same time. So now I have the love of my life in the hospital, in coma. I'm pregnant, and I'd only just found out only like hours before. He was airlifted out of where we were. I didn't know if I was ever going to see him again. So it was like all of this craziness, all compacted, all within seconds of each other. And I'm now pregnant. I'm now, dealing with somebody that may never walk again. Like all sorts of different things are all happening to me. And it just kept getting worse. I kept getting worse. Nobody knew. I told nobody. I didn't know what, getting a therapy session was. I didn't know that it wasn't my world. Like none of this stuff bothered me before. Right. So I had no tools coming into this last 20 years of my life until I met Daniel. So as here I am, a mom, we moved to a small town. He's a golfer, everything's going good. And then about 6 years into that part, so my son is now 6, we get separated. So now there's another massive blow to the structure of my life. And it was the right thing to do, but it didn't matter. Like nothing was making sense. So again, more parasitic programs, more horrible feelings, more hurt, more panic, all of these things. Now I'm on my own. How am I going to do this? And I had just opened up a massive business, 25 staff. It was a 7-day a week. It was a gymnastics club. And I'm now starting all of this. I wasn't starting it alone. I actually was married when I started it, but as we were opening the doors, we got separated. I was like, oh my gosh, I barely remember the opening of the gym. So I'm now really on my own with this massive company and all of that. Anyways, by the time 2010 came, I was doing a lot of weeping, private weeping. And a friend of mine, or an acquaintance, kind of knocked on my door at the gym, and said, like, sweetie, you do so much for so many people all day, every day. You take care of our little people. You take care of our kid, like all of it. Something's up. We don't know what it is. But I met this guy I met this guy from high school at a healing show, trade show or whatever, on Sunday. And he's coming up to our town on Friday, and I've made you an appointment. And I'm like, that's really nice of you. Thank you. And I'm like, sure. Okay. I don't know. Okay. Thank you. That was very nice of you. And I kind of kept going back to weeping in my office in the dark. So on that Friday, I went to this appointment, this session that this woman had made for me. And I really did actually kind of have hope. I was like, if this works, wouldn't that be really cool? Because she didn't know what he did. Like she couldn't say what it was. And at the time, there was no name for this. He didn't know there was no name for it. So, well, he called it pain body extraction, but we couldn't go forward with that because Eckhart Tolle owns that. But if we could, we'd totally call this pain body extraction, because that's exactly what it is. But Eckhart Tolle coined it, so we couldn't take it. But at the time, there was no name for this. So anyways, I walk into my session to this woman's house, and there's this man standing there looking at me, and I'm looking back at him. I had seen him my entire life in my visions, my whole life. And he had seen me in his visions. But I just thought it was like my angel, or an elder, or like I believed in all of that. Like I've always had a huge spiritual side to me. So I believed in all of that. But never in my wildest dreams did I think this person was for real. Like
a real person walking on the planet.
Real person. Yeah. So when I walked in, I did I was just like, you're real? And he did the same. So this woman in the middle of us was looking both ways going, do you guys know each other? And we're like, nope. Really a cool moment. Because it was like we found each other. It was like, holy crap. And in a nanosecond, he was like, oh, sweetie, are you ever sad? I'm like, yes, I am. And I just burst into tears. And he's like, come on, sit down. So I sat down, and he did what we now call the F.I.X code. on me. It took 5 minutes. I'm not kidding. If any of you, please, like, click the buttons, try this. It's incredible. Book with Martha. Like, she's just gotten certified. So please, like, go for it. Because what happened in that moment when I opened my eyes after that first extraction called SAD, I looked at him and I was like, are you kidding me? And he's like, you okay? I'm like, yeah. He goes, can you think of anything in your past that when you think about it makes you feel sad? And I'm like, I am looking there is no way this is work. Like, there's no 5 minutes. Really, dude?
Right?
I have left my dad all over the world. These poor trees all over the world. I have hugged them all. I have left my sad at the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. Like, I took scuba lessons. I did the whole thing to leave my sad at the bottom of the ocean. I always had sad, but then I was super sad after the
night.
trauma night. And then I was even more sad after the separation. So it was gone. And Martha, you can attest, like, it really does work just like that.
It does. And I didn't believe it either. I told you, I'm like, we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. This sounds too good to be true. It isn't.
I know. So in that moment, when I was really looking for sad in my mind, I was looking for it in all the quadrants. I was like, and then he's like, can you feel it now? Like, can you feel sad? And that was actually what really hit me. It was like, no, I can see the stories where I was sad, but I can't feel it. There's no charge to the stories. There's no ping or punch or, like tears. So I just looked at him and I said, I don't know what you just did, but I'm going to figure out what you did and I'm going to teach the world how to do this. And he kind of looked back at me like, I don't really know about that. And I'm like, yep, you don't know me. Watch me. And it was kind of like I'd made a vow that this was, and a promise that this was something I was committed to. I was going to figure out what he did and I was going to teach the world how to do this. And 13 years later, that's exactly what I'm doing. We've been teaching for about, we did 4 live events in 2016, I believe. And from those 4 live events, I was then able to pull everything that I wanted out of it and all the questions that came at me. I then turned around and made the online training, which is what Martha did, which is the level 1, which is the first step. And it's an online training and you can access it at any time. It's yours. You click the button for the purchase and the training is yours. We hold nothing back. You can go as fast or slow as you want. But from those 4 live trainings,
it's for life. I can go back and rewatch it as many times as I want.
It's fun, eh? The online training,
always get something new out of it. Yeah.
Yes. And that's again, we built it and designed it that way that every time you watch it, you will be a different person watching it and you'll hear something completely different because you've evolved. You have removed parasitic programs through our program so that you are different. You are smarter, you are clearer, you are calmer, you are more present every time you watch any of our videos.
You are getting unstuck, right? Getting rid of that emotional baggage, the emotions tied to those memories.
Yep.
Moves you forward. And the F.I.X code does it without you having to tell anyone what your story is. You don't have to talk about it. You don't have to relive it. Like Stacey said, right? It doesn't matter what the story was, right?
No.
It doesn't matter. The what mattered were the feelings, right? The that we call codes, right?
Yeah.
And that's what matters.
Yeah. And it's true amazing. Because those horrible feelings, we spend days and days and days in what we call the grand illusion. And the grand illusion is when a trigger wakes up these parasitic programs, which here's some examples of some parasitic programs: hurt, sad, betrayed, lonely, okay? Fear of failure, fear of being alone, fear of being sad, fear, like guilt. All of those words, okay, are all parasitic programs. Those are codes that we call the F.I.X code. Okay, that's the code part of the name. And what happens is that when these things are triggered, they wake up in the physical body. Okay, they're wrapped around our nervous system, so they wake up. So anybody that's in physical pain, or anybody that is a practitioner that works with physical pain, this is a fabulous modality. Okay, because these things wake up, they tax the physical body. They're wrapped around our nervous system, and then they move up and they eat the movement of memory, and then the memory goes into what we call the grand illusion, which is our minds, which is how many of us spend days and days and days rolling over the same stories. That's right, over and over and over, and we go in to the memory and we start talking to it, and we start changing it, and we start like adding to it and putting a tone to it, and then we throw a shoulder in it as we're walking down the street. We're in a hop, whatever we're doing. And the crazy part is that there's no save button. We don't go and change anything. And what happens is the memory closes and then it opens right back up at the beginning again, and we go into the exact same thing over and over and over.
Recycles and recycles and recycles. It's like being on a hamster wheel and never getting off.
And this stops that. This stops the crazies. This stops the monkeys in your head. So any of you that are looking for clarity or calmness in the mind and the physical body, this technique really hammers that home, because we actually extract the horrible feeling or fear.
That's tied to the memory. Yeah.
It's tied to, yeah. So it is the parasitic program is the feeling, and what it does is it attaches to our memory. So if we look at it, we actually teach this part. If you look at it like a pearl necklace, and the string of the pearl necklace is the feeling or the fear, and all the content in your life that you feel that way about is on that necklace. So the pearls are your memories, the content of your life. Those are yours for sure. But the string is called, let's say, sad. The string is the same in every single person. Sad is exactly the same in every single person. It's just different because your content is different. That's it. But the symptoms are exactly the same.
So, and we're going to continue this discussion, getting unstuck, getting rid of that emotional baggage with the vice president of the F.I.X code, Stacey Nye, who's really one of the coolest people I know. So be sure you come back. We're going to go for a short commercial break, and we will be right back. Don't leave us. Don't get lost. Stay right here. Get some movement in, or write down some codes you think might be applicable. Yeah. Hey, Doreen, thanks. We'll be right back, people.
Awesome.
So, Stacey, one of the things that we're back. This Courageously You with Martha. I just always want to get back into conversation.
Yeah.
Courageously You with Martha. I am a F.I.X code practitioner. It's my favorite thing. My guest, Stacey Nye. She is the vice president of the F.I.X code and has been major in the Olympics for years and years and years, and is just so cool. She's my mentor and my teacher. And we're talking about the F.I.X code and getting out of getting unstuck and getting rid of your emotional baggage, which you have to do in order to be able to focus and move forward and level up your vibration. Because if you stay in your story, you're stuck.
It's true. Yeah. So basically, when a parasitic program or a horrible feeling or fear is triggered and wakes up, and we go into the grand illusion, what happens is we are no longer in presence. We're either pulled back into the past by memories. So we're not now. We're not in now at all. We're not present at all. We're in the past thinking about something from the past, or we're freaking out in panic or anxiety or whatever it is because we're making pictures of the future going wrong, which is fears. So this technique disconnects those horrible feelings and fears to bring you back to presence, because it's the only thing that's keeping you from presence are these things. That is it. So to get unstuck is literally what this is. You can think clearly. You can move through your day in a much easier way because you're not, let's take angry, for example. This is one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
Because angry, I was just saying before the break that the parasitic programs, the codes have symptoms. They are the same in every single person. When I figured this out, or when Daniel was teaching me all this and was kind of like landing with me going, are you kidding me? There's no way. Anyways, that is what happened. Is angry is the same in every single person. And the symptoms are exactly the same in every single person. The only difference is the content, why they're angry, who they're angry at, all those kinds of things. But the feeling angry is exactly the same in every single person. So here I'm going to prove it. Can any of you think of anything in your past that when you think about it makes you feel overwhelmed? Everybody's going, yeah. Okay. Can you feel that feeling like cotton brain, or you can't think? Like foggy? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're all like, uh-huh. And what about that feeling of running out of time? Okay. Those are the 3 symptoms of the feeling angry. So we, as a practitioner, okay, disconnect the feeling angry. Those symptoms disappear. Mm-hmm. Martha's proof, I'm proof, and thousands of other people that we've done this with. It's proof. And that is something that I've taken a lot of pride in, is that this wasn't something that we came out of the gate with, 13 years ago and just did it. Not at all. If I back up to my story to show you the how hard we've worked to prove this, that we're not coming out of the gate with just another modality. That is not who we are at all. Daniel took 2 years with me because I kept saying, prove it again, do it again. Like, not the same code. Every time was a different code, because once it's gone, it is gone. But it was like, do it again, do it again, do it again. I want this one gone, this one, okay? And then after the 2 years, I, by accident, well, not by accident, but I actually did the F.I.X code on my mother-in-law, who was losing her marbles one Christmas day. And I'm like, you crazy lady, in the bedroom now. And off she went, and she's stomping off to the bedroom. And I'm like, move it. And not like 25 people are like, oh, Stacey's going to take on Grandma Di? Like, what is happening right now? And I'm like, I got this. Made her. Everybody's like, oh, okay. And off we march. She sits down in the chair, and I'm like, okay, biggest problem you have in your life right now, when you think about it, how does it make you feel? And she's like, I'm so angry. I'm like, good, close your eyes. And all I did was exactly what I had watched Daniel do thousands of times. Because while he was healing me, I was also putting people in front of him. People from my black book, people from my world, okay, athletes, all of that kind of stuff. I was testing this with people I trusted at the very highest levels that were never going to lie to me. Because if they thought that I was getting into something that wasn't like worth it or had integrity or anything, they would have told me. I brought Daniel to all of my protectors, okay, where this technique, and Daniel just passed every single test. It was just like, this is awesome. This is gorgeous. Stacey, this is, yeah, keep going. Like, keep testing it. I'm like, okay. So in this moment where Grandma Di was losing her marbles, and I did the F.I.X code with her. And again, I don't even think we had a name for it back then either. So here I was doing this technique with her, and it was just from memory of what I'd watched Daniel do thousands of times. So I did it with her, and she opened her eyes, and she was my best friend. So she kind of looked at me with this blank look, which you'll experience if you try the F.I.X code. It's called the deer caught in headlights, and you just kind of look like that. So there's Grandma and I looking at me and going, sweetie, what did you just do? And I'm like, did it work? Can you feel angry at all? She goes, I'm as calm as I've ever been in my life. What did you do? And I'm like, well, yeah, okay. I did this thing, like I'm working with this guy. He's helping me, whatever. Like I was keeping everything pretty quiet with the family. And she walked out back into the living room going, I don't know what Stacey just did, but it was magic. I don't know. And calm as could be. The whole room was like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, it's all good. I don't like to showboat. So it's kind of like, no, don't worry. So the next thing I know, I'm now calling Daniel beside myself on Christmas night, thinking that the skies were going to open. Lightning was going to come down and get me in this like little town, and just like take me out. I was making fun, but it was like, I am so sorry. I've disrespected the technique. I've disrespected you. I'm just so sorry, because never once did I ever think I'd be doing this. This was like what he was doing, and my job was to promote him and, that kind of thing. And he just started laughing at me. He's like, Stacey, did you really think you were never going to do this? And I'm like, no, not me. No, never. No, not me. And he's like, oh, Stace, you're so wonderfully naive. Yeah, you're going to be doing this all day, every day for everybody. And I'm like, oh my gosh, best job ever.
And you do it all day, every day.
I do. I work with about anywhere between 12 and 18 people a day.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's so fun. My sessions are 15, 20 minutes, because when you experience the technique, you'll see there's no content. I don't need to know, nor like, not just me, any F.I.X code practitioner needs to know the content, because the content isn't the problem. And for those of you out there that study emotions and, these kinds of things, when this information lands, you're going to be like, get out. There is no content worth knowing to use this technique. It isn't how the person, it's not the content, it's how you feel about the content.
Yeah.
That's it. So
it took me a while to get that. I went into it doubting, right?
I love it, because Martha doubted this. She, like, her first session we met, it was 15 minutes, just like you guys are going to experience through the Trauma to Triumph and through Martha's through the website. And Martha just said to me, like, all right, we'll see. And I'm like, okay.
and during the trainings, every step of the way, I challenged it. I said, you're going to have to prove that. I'm a retired lawyer, so I need a little bit, I don't know. I was a little more difficult as a student.
But
what I loved was that you and Daniel embraced that. You're like, bring it. Bring me more. Challenge me more.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the more we're challenged, the better our answers get, the clearer we become, the more we can teach. Like, there is no end to this. We know that, because this is generational. I have a 19-year-old now. He is a F.I.X code kid. He was our first F.I.X code kid. He started when he was 6 years old. And it is really empowering for a mom to be able, any mom now, to sit down on that first step of your stairs, when little one comes in and they're like, the tears are coming, they're just about to start kind of thing. And I'm getting bullied, whatever it was. Okay. Sit down on the stairs. You want to do some magic? Yes, please. And okay, magic question. Biggest problem you have in your life right now, buddy? How does it make you feel? Bullied. Okay, let's do it. And we did, and then we did longing. I think longing was his first one. And he was 6. And he loves the F.I.X code. He's 19. Every one of his friends knows how to do this and loves it. And they've all got me on speed dial. But I've watched these kids grow up with the F.I.X code. I know no content. They can call me at any time with whatever's going on in their lives. And I mean, I'm not one to judge anyways, but if it's an emotional issue, I mean, if they need to be picked up at a party, I'm coming to get them, no big deal. But if one of them was not okay, they've got me on speed dial, they text me, and I would say, Kate, biggest problem you have in your life right now, when you think about it, how does it make you feel? And they would text me the answer. I'm like, Kate, put your earbuds in, and they're at a party, and I'm helping them in 5 minutes. This is what our certified practitioners are doing, helping people in the moment. They don't need to know any of the story, because the story is not the problem. It's how they feel about the story that's the problem.
So we had a question. Nisha asked if we could demonstrate it. We're not going to demonstrate it on tape. There's some trademark things and some other things with that. And Nisha, you can get a complimentary session with me or another practitioner. You can email me at marthadalexander@gmail.com. There's a link up there that was just up there that Cece will bring back. That is to Stacey. Stacey has a complimentary 5-day learn about it, right?
Yeah.
And it's the fixcode.mykajabi.com /a or / whatever /a /214-751-4146 capital VM 8 lowercase j 58b lowercase b. That was a lot.
Wow.
You can see it go.
So here's how this works, because this is really fun. If you want to learn more about the F.I.X code, this code here where it says Martha Alexander, okay, the big long one with all the letters in there, click that. You will go bounce right to Trauma to Triumph. And Trauma to Triumph was created as a 5-day program with a 2-day bonus. And each day, first day is manifesting. Like, how cool is that, right? The second day is like, what is the F.I.X code? How like, the grand illusion. What is the grand illusion? What is the new paradigm? There's all sorts of really, really incredible information inside that. If you fall in love with this, you're going to know really quickly. Like, you're going to know on what day 1 or day 2 whether you want to keep going with this. And like I said, it's complimentary. Inside that, once you register, you're going to fill out an intake form, which is, again, it's like a form that's going to ask you a question about your emotional state. You just tick it off. It's very easy. You click that, and then you're going to be bounced to our practitioner page. Martha is on that page as of this afternoon, because she got certified the other day. Absolutely. Super, super happy. So that's where you can book your $25 experience. It's 15 minutes. Most of our practitioners have got like a 20-minute block for you, so you've got a little bit of extra time, and you can experience the F.I.X code while going through the Trauma to Triumph, which is really cool. So if you've got, like, on your first day, it's manifesting. I walk you through this manifesting program class that you can find and figure out through what we're doing in the class, what is stopping you, and what, how to unstick yourself from where you are in your life to be able to go after what you want. And through this technique, it is so easy. And just click that button and register for the Trauma to Triumph. Like I said,
and if you didn't get a chance to write it down while I was spewing it at you, please feel free. You can call me at 805-422-6865. You can email me at marthadalexander@gmail.com, and I will send you the link. It's not a problem. You don't have to remember. If you remember marthadalexander@gmail.com, I will send you the rest of it, or you can text me at 805-422-6865. I want to say, until I met Stacey and the F.I.X code, I had done a lot of different modalities, and they helped me move forward in a lot of ways. Having a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset. I mean, there are so many different ways that they moved me forward. And I was raised as a people pleaser chameleon, right? My parents got divorced. My mom left when I was 7, 1968. I'm older than you, just so
You are. Yeah.
Hey, Doreen, excellent job. And so I became a people pleaser and a chameleon. Obviously, people couldn't like me or love me if my mom left me, right? So I had to do something. And I worked a lot on those emotions. I mean, I'm from Iowa. We really don't feel emotions in Iowa, I'm just going to say. So having something that allowed me just to let my unconscious mind say, this is what I'm feeling, not know what it's from, not know anything else about it, and letting my unconscious mind handle it all. Because your unconscious mind really does know everything.
It really does.
Allowed me to move exponentially faster, right? You can do it any number of ways. This is really fast and painless.
Yes.
I don't have to get into my stuff. Sometimes I'll tell Stacey my stuff, like when I'm really in it, but you don't have to.
No.
If you have a trauma and you don't want to go in the details, I'm good with that.
Yeah. And that's why our sessions can be so short, because there's no content. I ask certified practitioners ask, biggest problem you have in your life right now. When you think about it, don't tell me what it is. When you think about it, how does it make you feel? Whatever your client answers or whatever you answered is exactly what we're going to do the F.I.X code on. And the technique takes 5 minutes, and it's gone forever. And thousands of people can back me up on this. Martha's backing me up on it on air. Like,
yeah,
it is.
And I give a guarantee. So, I mean, it's.
Yeah. So you can try this. You can go to the website. You can go to Martha's, click, go through Trauma to Triumph, try it. And then from there, you can either become a client of Martha's or continue and ask her to do the F.I.X code with you, which would be awesome. But definitely book a package, because when you're booking packages, you've got that. It's like you're almost doing homework with yourself and Martha, because it's like, okay, I'm going to do this. I want this, because you're going to catch yourself in the grand illusion. You're going to catch yourself triggered, and you're going to ask yourself the magic question, and you're going to get the answer, and you're going to do it. And you're going to kind of almost come to Martha with a list going, okay, I know what I'm doing today. So that package idea is great, because you work towards.
When you get triggered, you know what it is.
Yeah. But the journey, that like the distance that you travel in a very short period of time with the F.I.X code is astronomical. And a lot of people come to me saying, oh, I've been doing this for years. And I'm like, awesome. You want to try something that is like beyond? The way that I've always looked at this, because I come to this with no other modality. I am so naive when it comes to all of this, that I found excellence out of the chute. I love this. It works. And it helps really quickly in the moment. And it lasts forever. That code, it's gone. That horrible feeling is gone. And all your habits and strategies change. Because if you don't respond the same way, the charge isn't there. The parasitic program's not there to tell the story or react. There's no reaction.
It's true. I have young adult children who live with me, and there are things that have set me off for years. And now I just look at it and go, that's interesting. I really don't have a charge about that. And can you handle that, please? It's a completely different relationship. It changed my relationship with my husband. It changed the whole atmosphere in my house, changed when I lost charges. You guys have been amazing. Thank you so much for commenting and interacting with us. I love it. I love your emails. I love your texts. And I am more than happy to spend time talking to you about the F.I.X code or letting you experience it. This really is Stacey's mission to get it out there has become part of my mission, because it so dramatically changed my being, my vibration, and just how I can show up on this planet. And I want other people to have that same opportunity. Right? Yeah. I want you to know that's why I wanted Stacey here today.
It's all about raising our vibrations. And the more we clear, the more karma we clear, and the more we clear our physical bodies just to keep leveling up.
Leveling up. I love the level up. So you guys, let's get unstuck. Let's get rid of that emotional baggage and let us focus on the present and moving forward on what you actually want.
True.
What you actually want. So thank you, Stacey, so much for being here today.
Yeah.
I always love talking to you. So it's all good. I want you guys to know that being courageous is not acting in the absence of fear. It's acting even though you have fear. So take a leap of faith. Check this out. You can reach me at marthadalexander@gmail.com or 805-422-6865 or at courageouslyoucoaching.com. You can go to thefixcode.com and check out Stacey and the Fix Code, and I am more than happy to have a conversation with you guys. Love you, and hope to all see you next week at 3 p.m. Pacific, and it's all the rest of the times. Just all right. Love you guys. Thanks, Stace.
Okay, bye.
Bye.